Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. I am Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here live on my Facebook page every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Welcome. I like to help women rediscover themselves through creativity, through paper crafting, but more importantly, I like to help adults connect with each other and stay connected with each other because how often, after we become adults, right, adults, I use the term loosely, but um, how often is it that, you want to hang out with your friends and all that kind of stuff, or you want to make new friends, and it's very hard to do as an adult. Hello, Penny. So I feel like by making and sending cards, I stay connected with my friends and I help make new friends as well. So that is something I would like to help you with as well. So tonight we have some alternatives for the November Paper Pumpkin Kit that was just passed. So we will be making one together. I'll be making one for you tonight. And then I have some other alternatives at the end to show you. So lots of fun actually creating with this kit. And as I said last week, I put the regular kit together as is. So I didn't have leftover pieces like that. So mostly I'm creating with oh, just a minute. Mostly I'm creating with the stamp set and then some leftover pieces that are kind of interesting. Hey, Betty, Russ won actually. I posted that on the page earlier today. So I normally don't announce that necessarily on Monday night, but I think I have been the last couple of weeks. So that's probably why you're asking. So Russ's card was the wreath card. And I have it right over here. So that was the winner for our Friday night stamping. And this is one of those cool Z-fold cards. So absolutely loved that. And so did all of you. So 2 wins in a row for him. That's awesome. So it looks like something has happened to my lighting. Oh, well. Okay. So yeah, it was usually around Monday, somewhere in the 9 o'clock hour. I like to post it, but you know how the algorithm is. Depends on whether you see it or not. All right, so let's flip the camera view here. There we go. Okay, so if you remember last week, this is what we put together. This is what the cute little treat bags, boxes, whatever they are, looked like. They all went to work today for our holiday bazaar filled with Hershey Kisses, so that was really exciting, and the people were loving them, so we'll see how that goes starting tomorrow. This is what we're making together, or I'm making for you tonight. I absolutely loved how this card came out. So let me walk you through it. Because I will say one thing, I stamped on crumb cake cardstock instead of the white or vanilla, right? I did use still vanilla on this one, but the main part of the card was the crumb cake. And that's something that I forget a lot, and I bet you do too, is that you don't always have to stamp on the white or vanilla. You can use different colors as your main card layer. So we've got an olive card base. And actually, I did not put in like cardstock measurements and stuff tonight. I'll go back and grab those and add those to the video description, so you'll be able to see that in retrospect. Hey, Lucia, welcome. Okay, so we are starting with an old olive card base, your basic card base, and we've got a layer of crumb cake, and that's what we will be stamping on tonight. Let me see here. All right, so I have my really cool thin block that I got with my very first Paper Pumpkin kit, and this is the stamp set that came with the November Paper Pumpkin kit. So I'm going to be using this door stamp mostly. I absolutely fell in love with this door stamp as soon as I saw it. Hey, Cheryl, what is this, 3 weeks in a row? It's amazing. So yes, and I will be coloring this in. So I am using our Memento ink, the Tuxedo Black, but you could easily use one of our other colors like Early Espresso because it's a water-based ink. All of our regular ink pads are. So if you wanted to stamp it in a different color, you could. But I'm doing the black. Oh, and that's another thing. So with our grid paper, you may be able to see it. There's a little bit of a darker line in the center going vertical and horizontal. And so one side goes from 1 to 16. The other side starts with 0 in the middle and counts out. So whenever I want to center something, I will actually use that 0 one, and I will center it between the lines. And then I know where the center of my cardstock is. Yes, the gang's all here. We really are. It's so fun. Okay, so now I can just use that dark line and center my doorway up. And when you're doing anything where you're trying to get like 3 or 4 in a line like that, and you're trying to have it centered, I usually do the middle one first because I can use that line to gauge that. And then I can just go off each side and everything should be centered. That one didn't stamp very well. I think I'm going to flip this and do it again because that's going to bother me. Here, let's get this down here so I can see better and put more pressure on because that was probably the problem. Okay, so we'll use that dark center line again to center up our house, our door. Like, I wish my front door looked like that. Although I have a red front door, and I did always want a red front door. I grew up with a red front door. What color are your doors? Everybody tell me. So we have the house we almost bought has a door that's it's kind of a Lost Lagoon or maybe a Misty Moonlight. It's a pretty blue door. And right before we moved from Woodstock, we painted our door like a butter yellow. So pretty. We had a greenhouse, like a, oh, kind of a mossy meadow. Yes, I always speak in Stampin' Up! Colors. There we go. So now we have that centered. We have each one, like, look at that. Even just a little bit of the bush kind of peeked in on each side. I'm telling you, that's amazing. Okay, we will stamp our greeting later. Grab my chamois. I can see this particular door stamp getting a lot of use in my house, I know. Lucia, your door is basic gray. I like that. What color is your house? I like basic gray. It is one of my favorite neutrals, and I don't think I use it enough. But I always love when I do use it. So I have a variety of my Stampin' Blends here tonight. Red brick with a basic gray door. Love it. Absolutely love it. So it may not look like it, but these are actually, the doors are actually colored with both light and dark crumb cake. Hey, Kay, thanks for sharing. Oh, I appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to start with my, let's start with our dark crumb cake. And if you'll notice on the sample, I kind of did the center one a little bit differently. So I'm not really doing any shading on these too much. It's a little more, I don't know, coloring book style probably. But yes, I'm just coloring crumb cake on crumb cake cardstock. So you're just getting a deeper color of the tone of the same color. So then the outside ones, I did kind of this, you know, the raised part of the door, I guess it is, in the dark. And then I just colored the step the same color. And then on the inside one, I colored all the outside frame in that dark. just to make it look a little bit different, right? I wanted the middle one to stand out for some reason. And I'll tell you, when I started stamping way back when, gray siding, red front door. Love that too. See, you and Lucia, you're like flip-flopped. Yeah, when I started stamping 20 some odd years ago, everything had to be symmetrical. And I have grown so that, things can be kind of off kilter. And I used to have a lot of trouble with like collage type stamping, and I'm getting better. It's still not my strongest point, but I'm getting much better at it. Now I'm going to take my light crumb cake, and it really doesn't even seem like it's quite that different, but it will show up a little differently. And when you first start, because it's an alcohol marker, it's going on wet basically, and it needs some time to dry. So it's going to seem like, well, you didn't even use two different colors, but it will. Once it dries, that'll kind of evaporate and be lighter. Oops, I missed a piece with the dark there. Let me grab that while I'm thinking about it, because I forgot to do my little crossbar up here. I don't know if that's the header or what. Maybe the stamper man will pop in and tell me what that's called. He's the building guy. He's the hardware man. I am not, although I'm getting better than I used to be. I didn't used to know the names of anything. So you can already see how this one's lightened up completely. You can tell the different tones. This one's getting there. This one's getting there as well. And you can go back over that as many times as you want. So if you want to deepen up the dark one, if you want the light one to be even more distinguishable, because you can, like I said, you can barely tell the difference on this cardstock. So if you want that more distinguishable, just go over it again a second time and it'll be a little deeper. Okay, we're going to move on. So otherwise you'll be here all day watching me color, which can be very relaxing, I'm sure. Then I took my dark Daffodil Delight and I just went over this transom window. See, I know what that's called. And again, when you're coloring on a cardstock that's not like white or vanilla, it just looks like I darkened it up. But as that kind of evaporates and soaks in, it will turn a little more yellow. And I'm just imagining that all the Christmas parties are going on behind these doors, and that's why the lights are all on, right? Then we're going to do the green. So I've got my Old Olive base. I almost said Old Navy because that is what Russ says all the time. So then I always have to figure out if he wants olive cardstock or navy cardstock. So I'm going to take my Old Olive to match my base, and that's what all the greenery is going to be. And all I did here was I took the bullet tip of the dark one, and I went around all the edges. And I did not get fussy and particular about it. I just kind of blopped around all of them. So if it's not perfectly outlined, it's not a big deal because you'll still see the black stamp line, I think. So it'll all be good. So, and this is, I haven't really, quote unquote, started making Christmas cards yet because as you can see, we kind of make some almost every week. So this will end up being one of the Christmas cards I send out. Betty, I did not see anything like this actually. I have seen people stamping this house or this, gosh, I keep calling it a house, this front door. But this one kind of actually came out of my own brain. Just really liked the idea of it being on Crumb Cake cardstock. I do like Crumb Cake. I like it, kind of gives that warm feel. So when I'm doing like a nice warm holiday card, it seems like a good thing. And like I said, I often forget that I don't have to use white or vanilla to stamp on. Thank you. So when I do remember, I'm ever so proud of myself and usually thrilled with the results. And I think part of it is because it's different, right? Okay. So I've just outlined, whoops, forgot the little tiny peekaboo guy over there. Just outlined all that greenery with the dark old old olive. Oh my gosh, I cannot stop saying Old Navy in my head. All right, and then we're going to take the light old olive and just fill in what we just outlined. And again, we don't want to be super particular, or so I'm like leaving little white spaces, and that makes it look more natural, right? All right, have any of you ever had that thing where your eyes kind of twitch, right? That just happened to me while I was coloring. That is not a good time for that to happen to you. Like, no, I'm kind of trying to concentrate on something here. All right. So that is all my greenery. And you notice the different crumb cakes are really showing now, and you can see the yellow in the windows. So if you're ever coloring with your blends on a non-neutral, a non-white or non-vanilla, don't get scared if they don't show up right. Another thing you can do is take a piece of scrap and just take your blends and make some marks. So like there's the dark poppy, there's the light poppy. They look very similar. Let them sit for a minute, and then you'll see how they're going to show up on there. And that's a good way to determine which ones you want to use. Here we go. Old Navy Olive and Night of Old Navy. It's always Night of Old Navy. This is the kind of stuff that happens on Friday nights when we're stamping together. Especially since you really can't see. I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going. So over on that side of the room, I stand over there to stamp, and the stamper man sits right back here. That's his station. So all of the ink pads are behind me. So usually he kind of figures out what he's going to do, and then he usually forgets at least one ink pad, so he'll ask me to hand him things. Friday nights are fun, Lucia. If you ever come up this way, we should totally stamp together. Maybe you could get John to do that with you. All right, and there is my dark poppy parade. Excuse me for one moment. My eye is watering for some reason. There we go. Every once in a while, something must get in that right eye because it's only the right one. Okay, so that is basically our card front. I mean, how easy was that? That was 18 minutes, and I was gabbing in there too. So I also wanted to show you, so that was what I determined I wanted to do. And you'll notice I think I used garden green over here. So I was trying to decide which colors I was going to go with. And but I also colored it with our watercolor pencils. So that is kind of how that would look. So a very different kind of look. So it's always a good idea too, especially if you're stamping on something that's not white or vanilla and you're like, I don't know how that's going to turn out. Or even if you're starting off and you still don't know how it's going to turn out on white or vanilla, grab yourself a scrap and just do a little test thing. Do you want to color it with blends? Do you want to color it with pencils? Do you want to do some watercolor effect? Do you want to just leave it plain? So that'll give you a good idea of exactly how it's going to turn out if you use a scrap of the cardstock you're looking for. All right, you guys are chattering over here now. That's a good question. So if I were going to emboss and I wanted to use Stampin' Blends, one of the things I have found is the Stampin' Blends, because they're alcohol markers, do tend to deteriorate the embossing line a bit. So what I have done is I've gone ahead and embossed first, but then I don't get right up to the embossed line. I'll kind of color close to it. And the Stampin' Blends tend to like bleed out into the cardstock a bit, so they should fill in just fine. But you just don't want to go over that line continuously. Um, Embossing works really well when you want to watercolor because it's kind of a dam for the water, right? So if you put some water on there after you've embossed and then just kind of dot your colors in there, it'll bleed in, out to the lines. So, yeah. Yay. All right. Okay, now we are going to do some linen thread. I love linen thread. And actually, this is the leftover linen thread from the kit, so I still had some left to work with. And I'm going to do I think I did a triple, yeah. So I am just snipping pieces that are about just a little more than the width of the card. And I want a triple thickness, if you will, because linen thread does not really show up that well, right? Just by itself. It's fine if you want to tie on like a tag. It's great for that. Oh my gosh, look at that. Like the perfect amount of linen thread I had left. But if you need something a little heftier, I love linen thread, especially with crumb cake and that kind of thing. But if you want it to look a little heftier, if you bulk it up and put it like 3 thicknesses, so you can either wrap it all the way around 3 times, which means you've wasted 3 times the back, or you can just cut it just a little wider than, oh, I forgot my tear and tape. Hold, please. You can cut it just a little wider than your card, and then you can just secure it on the back. So this one will look slightly different because I did not have any to do the knot. I do have more linen thread, but I don't want to leave you again. So this one just won't have a knot on the front. The other nice thing about linen thread is that it's less bulky than ribbon, so it goes through the mail very nicely without having to worry about any extra postage or anything like that. This is also the tear and tape that came in the kit. And I ended up with those treat boxes I made last week. I ended up putting little Velcro tabs under the fronts so people could open and close them. You like my hold, please? Yeah, that's me. I'm hilarious. Just ask me. All right. So, but as always, where that linen thread is, it's going to put some strip. Ah, must be fine. My whole video just froze and went black. Velcro, let's see. Russ has these huge rolls that he used to use in the sign shop. So I literally just used those. And those, unfortunately, were black Velcro. I would have rather had white, but I didn't have any. So I just cut little thin strips of adhesive Velcro and just tucked them up underneath there. But I think like Dollar Tree has like those little tabs. They're like either round dots or square tabs of front and, hook and loop both. So you could totally use that, which was my intention. And I forgot to pick some up when I went to Dollar Tree. So there's that. Then I pulled out my hexagon punch, which I love. And I had a piece of scrap vanilla. I actually am, normally I stamp my greeting first and then I punch it out. But because I had this very particular width of scrap cardstock, I decided to punch it out first. All right. And I like this greeting because it says warm wishes from our home to yours. And since we've got a front door, I thought that was appropriate. And even though this is a photopolymer stamp so I can see through it, I still do my little trick of lining it up on the grid paper and then line up my block as well so I know it's straight. Oh, Velcro from sewing stuff. No, just adhesive. Heck no. Make it easy. All right. So now I will line up the sides of this one. Since it's got kind of points on it, I will line up the sides with lines, and that way I know it's straight. Perfect. Love it. Pop that off, and then we'll add a little zhuzh to it, right? A little pizzazz. Oh, I forgot that was from the other stamp set. All right, I got it because I really liked the way that turned out. So good thing I knew right where that was. So this was from the October stamp set. It's got this cute little snowflakey stamp that I really just loved. And it fits perfectly in those little kind of points on the hexagon punch. And it also works equally well on the inside of your card. So that ties it all together. And that would work great on your envelope as well. All righty. So there. I love it when they have paper pumpkins that coordinate, and they usually do this time of year, so it's very helpful. So I want to remind you all that if you don't already subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, make sure that you are in by the 10th, which is this weekend, Saturday, right? No, Sunday? Saturday. Sorry, I'm off my regular job on Friday, and so I'm all confused. All right. So the other thing here you want to do is when you're putting your dimensionals on, it's good to get them top and bottom because you want that to straddle your thread so that it's not all wonky, right? And that'll hang out right between those two doorways. And voila, there is your finished card. That turned out pretty well. Sunday is the 10th. Thank you very much, Penny. All right, so you want to make sure that you are subscribed by Sunday, which is the 10th, for Paper Pumpkin. So any month with Paper Pumpkin, you want to subscribe by the 10th to get that month's Paper Pumpkin. And so for December, we have a kit called All the Best, and it includes 9 cards, 3 each of 3 different designs, and this cool, you can't see it too well in the picture, but it's an acetate box with a little belly band that you'll make so that you can actually gift those cards to somebody else, which is super nice, right? They've got gold foil die cuts. Everything's included, including adhesive, which is super nice. And also don't forget your gift giving occasions because prepaid paper pumpkin codes make great gifts. So when you buy a prepaid code, you just go to my regular shop and you can look up paper pumpkin and there's prepaid options. You can buy a 1 month, a 3 month, a 6 month, or a 12 month prepaid option. And what you get is an email with a code in there. So you can either redeem that code on paperpumpkin.com and start receiving your kits every month, or you can gift that code just like you would anything else that you get a code for. You can gift that. So they're the perfect option for your crafty friends this year. Thank you very much. Can I use, yeah, I mail cards with dimensionals all the time. Dimensionals are probably the least problematic ones because it's still within the thickness. That's not a problem. And there's nothing bumped up really that bothers, like rhinestones, I know bother them. Sometimes I've had cards returned because of rhinestones, and sometimes when I've seen them later, it's like I can see they've cut through the envelope when they got canceled. So I like sequins for cards for mailing. Dimensionals are fine. Linen thread's good. Regular ribbon without a bow or a knot is really good too because it's pretty flat. So those are all good options for mailing. Good questions. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, I like it on the crumb cake as well. But I also told you I had other things to show you from the kit. And so, like I said, since I didn't have any of the boxes left over, I didn't do anything with those. But we did have this cool little thing that had all of the circle tags and the little um, the flag tags for the greetings, right? So I used this as templates for a couple of different cards. So for the first one, I used that banner template and I just tacked everything down. I used a blending brush to make kind of a candy cane banner and then just stamped our little pieces, a nice little bow on there. You got your presents inside. So that's one of my alternatives as well. And then this side, I thought, well, that kind of looks like it could be ornaments. So that is exactly what I did. I put that down and I used sponge daubers to just color around the outsides of it. Then I took one of our Stampin' Right markers and ringed them, took a rule, or no, first I stamped this. So this cool little thing is this gift upside down without the bow. And it made the perfect little topper for ornaments. Thank you guys. And then I just used a ruler to make the strings, a little stamped greeting, and we're all done with that one. I have one last one that is not a Christmas card. So this was the leftover piece after I punched out all the wreaths for the kits. I turned that over. This was an idea I saw online and used it as a stencil. And I did a pink to gray gradient, kind of ombre effect as a nice little background. A quick happy birthday with a little matching ribbon, and boom, we were done with that one too. So yeah, don't underestimate what these little leftovers will do, especially since everything is lined up so perfectly because, you know, I'm sure they're all machine made. So they make great stencils for the other things on your card list. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you all enjoyed that so much. Make sure when you are gift shopping, couple of things to remind you of. Stampin' Up! Has told us the shipping cutoff for Christmas in the US is December 11th. So that is Monday. So make sure you're kind of looking through things this week. The last chance product list is a great list to look for your gift giving needs as well, because there are some good discounts on there. And the clearance rack is also a really great place to find fabulous stocking stuffers. So just a couple of things for you all to look out for. I'm so glad that we had some time here and you guys seem to enjoy everything I made. So thank you very much. I will be back next Monday. And If you got some good ideas out of this, go ahead and share the video so your friends and family can also get those great ideas, all your crafty friends. And until next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.